Hello there, and welcome to Thursday Night Reconnected. And tonight is one I've been looking forward to for a long time. We got James from 20th and 21st Movies. James, thanks for doing this. What's going on?
Well, thank you, Ryan. It's been a busy week, but I am really happy to be on here tonight, and really do appreciate you having me. It's kind of it's weird weather here in Georgia. I looked at my watch yesterday and looked on the app and saw 60 degrees all day, and so I'm thinking, okay, I wake up in the morning, it's 60 degrees, and just a few days ago it was like 17 degrees.
Yep.
So it's just crazy weather, busy times, but really excited about the new year as it's gotten started, and really happy to be on your channel tonight. I appreciate your invitation.
Eager to have you. We tried to do this a couple months ago, and we just said, hey, let's keep the same topic, which is why it's horror related. It was going to be in October, and things just didn't quite work out. And then getting rescheduled. It used to be I was scheduling people to come on this sometimes day of, and was getting people, hey, can you do this, please? I only have a couple hours left. And now I think now I'm scheduled all the way out through the end of March at the moment. It's
wow.
Wild. It's been so busy. Lots of people excited to have you here, though. Lots of people that are familiar with the channel, but for everybody else that isn't, can you tell us what you do on your channel?
Oh, sure. My channel is 20th and 21st Movies. My name is James, and we basically are one of our taglines is where all things cinema. So we focus on a lot of Criterion Collection physical media coverage, as well as Arrow Video, Kino Lorber, but it's really all things cinema. So it's mostly movie coverage, but also other areas of cinema as it relates to cinematic TV shows. But we just love the medium of movies, and we cover a lot of physical media coverage, and just love talking about all things cinema. A lot of Criterion Collection physical media reviews, as well as over the last couple of years gotten more into Arrow Video and Kino Lorber as well. So those are the main labels that I'm currently into, but definitely looking to expand a little bit beyond that into other labels, as well as talk a little bit about the Criterion channel this year. So really exciting stuff.
Yeah, the channel is an area that I've not really dove into. I mean, my to watch pile around this room is so it's so deep that I can't even like to fathom getting another streaming service is intimidating already.
Yes.
But it's Criterion, and I kind of want to support it, and I know that they've got a lot of the bonus features on there and a lot of the stuff that hasn't made the jump to HD yet that I don't have. So it's tough. I definitely want to check it out.
Yep. So I went ahead and I got the subscription, a short time ago, and I just need to start diving into it. So
Criterion's probably a good place to start. I had hoped to time it so that you could be here the week of Criterion announcements. Just missed it, unfortunately. One thing that I've done for the last couple of years has been a little harsh on Criterion. I've softened up this year because I feel like they've been releasing better films. But I'm curious what you think, since you focus so much on Criterion. I don't think I've heard like a state of the label from you in quite some time. How do you feel like they are at the moment? How do you feel like they have perhaps held on to their status as top notch?
Well, I think there's a lot. I think there are other labels that could make a rightful claim to that top notch. I mean, I've gotten into Arrow Video, and I tell you what, I absolutely love their 4K limited edition packaging. Some of those box sets I absolutely just fall in love with, like the Tenebrae box set, the Barbarella set. I mean, it's a totally cheesy film with Jane Fonda, but it's a film you can easily fall in love with. But the packaging that they put into it is just fantastic, with those posters, a nice sturdy box, the standard black case, and the movie cards, and the nice pretty decently thick book. So it's a pretty nice package that Arrow's putting together. I think as far as the state of the label for Criterion, I think they're putting out some solid films, but in recent years the supplements have kind of stepped back a little bit for a lot of their releases, but then they'll come out with a release that is just packed with special features, and you'll be like, okay, that's what you would like to
Right.
see on, more of their releases. But I can tell that they've kind of pulled back a little bit, on the supplements, and some of the packaging may not be as lavish as, for some of the releases as they have been in the past. So, and I think that's just a, reflection of just, trying to, reduce costs and, the challenging, environment. But, other labels, are stepping up and providing some nice, packaging on a lot of their releases. So I think they're getting some good competition, and I think that's, better for us as physical media collectors. So
I feel like they, if they can't get the filmmakers for the film, they kind of give up on the supplements and they don't do a
mhm.
whole lot, which I get that. I think that it's valuable to have that, especially like After Hours was a good one over this last year. They got that really nice commentary with everybody that was involved in it. That one is stacked.
Yeah, this one's a really good one. I mean, Guillermo del Toro, he's one of their favorites in terms of filmmakers, and so he contributed a lot to the features on this one. This is in terms of this adaptation of the Pinocchio story, I thought it was okay. But what I really appreciated about this was the love and the care that they put
Yeah.
into the special features, and learning about, Guillermo del Toro's passion around the process of making this film, the whole stop motion process, him and Mark Gustafson's vision with this. So it was really more about the supplements and learning about how the film was made that really made this one for me.
I still need to see that one. I'm eager to. I'm waiting for that next sale. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Criterion, obviously, like we both said, have been doing some good films. I just wish they stepped into the academic support that a lot of the other labels have done with
Mhm.
special features, bring in some of the experts, and um, I don't know, bring in some other people. There's a lot of the films that are important that I think they would get some great features for. They've just like seemingly chosen not to do it. It's an
Yeah.
interesting choice, but I don't know. Uh,
Yeah. It's definitely an opportunity that they could, probably step up a little bit, more in. I do think one of the things I do appreciate that they have been doing in recent years is sort of broadening the tent of,
yes,
bringing more filmmakers and filmmaking voices into the collection. Whether they be, filmmakers of color, but just across the board, just,
right.
really broadening that tent, and not just being about, Fellini or Kurosawa or Francois Truffaut, but, really bringing in a lot more filmmakers that in the past might not have been in the collection. So I think they've done a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, diversity seems to be a clear focus for them for at least the last 2.5 or 3 years, and I think they're doing well with it. I mean, they're still hitting their heavy hitters. We've gotten two from Scorsese over the last year. We've gotten many more female filmmakers in the last year than we used to. We've gotten many more filmmakers of color than we used to. We've gotten a lot of small films. That's been one of the things that I've noticed too. There are things that were perhaps even like understated. Many people not even heard of the films that were newer, and they wouldn't get love before this. So it's nice to see that happen.
Yeah.
Uh, how about recent pickups? It's probably about that time. Anything that you've got physically lately that you want to share with the group?
Yeah. I've got a couple of the recent Criterions that have come out that I've done reviews on the channel. Blood Simple.
Mm.
This is probably my third favorite Coen Brothers film, behind
Ooh.
No Country for Old Men and Fargo. So there's an existing Blu-ray in the collection. This is a 4K upgrade, and this is just a fantastic film. I basically reviewed, this in terms of the overall edition, but the comparison to, the standard Blu-ray, and I guess the long and short of it is this is a really good 4K, but it's the same 4K restoration that's on that Blu-ray that came out a few years ago. So oftentimes when it's the same 4K restoration, you're not going to see a huge jump from the Blu-ray to the 4K. And that's the case here. And so it's not that the 4K is not good. It's just being compared to an already great Blu-ray.
Right.
But yeah, if you don't already have this on Blu-ray, I highly recommend this 4K. And then Lone Star from Criterion. So this is obviously a really nice film from John Sayles, independent filmmaker. I'd never seen it before and really enjoyed this one as well. So, and it looks fantastic on a 4K. So those are a couple of the recent pickups, as well as I haven't watched this, but I saw it in theaters, and it's probably going to win Best Picture. Oppenheimer, of course.
Nice.
I say probably going to win Best Picture, but I think your Best Picture winner is one of these right here. You know,
Interesting.
Either this one, which I think most people think, but don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if this wins. You know,
Past Lives was my favorite film from last year. I would love to see it win. I don't know. With Oppenheimer getting every nomination under the sun, basically, I'm worried for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I expect Oppenheimer to win. I expect Christopher Nolan probably to get director, Robert Downey Jr. to get Best Supporting Actor, Cillian Murphy. I really expect Oppenheimer to kill it, you know, in March, and because it's just a phenomenal film. But who knows? Past Lives might swoop in and take that picture award. We'll see.
I've got 3 tonight. I've got one that's unique, so I'm going to wait till we're talking about some announcements to show the third one. This first one, I did not expect to get this. This is the Book of Hearth, a DVD that MVD sent me to check out for them, and it's a really interesting documentary about a guy that took a Bible around and got famous people to sign the Bible.
Oh, okay.
Interesting story. If you're into that sort of thing, it's a fun one. Fairly
cheap awesome.
DVD. Yeah. And then the other one, I don't even know how to present this. This is a big deal for me. I finally got in hand Spider Labyrinth 4K from Severin, and considering this is the first film to have my name in the special features on the back, I am stoked to finally have this.
Awesome.
I think it's hilarious that this is the first one that we've completed. We recorded our commentary and did our visual essay somewhere around October, I think it was, and we've been doing this since last summer, and this is the first one that I have in my hand. And,
oh my goodness! So you did the audio commentary for that?
Audio commentary and a visual essay, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, right?
Yeah, it's it's exploded. When we were talking and I said I was busy, I think we have 7 visual essays or featurettes that we're working on right now that are all going out like in the next week. So it's a busy time. It's surreal awesome, to hold something like that in your hand finally.
That is awesome. Congratulations on that. That is great, man.
Yeah. We've got a lot on the docket. If people are interested in those, pay attention to the announcements. There's at least one getting announced next week and many more in the coming weeks. So here we go.
All right. Audio commentary by Ryan Burrell.
How about some recent watches other than those 2 Criterions? Anything that you checked out recently?
Well, yeah. So of course I've watched those, and then recently I'm actually in progress. I got about 30 minutes left of this film here. I've been started watching. I put it in the player the other night, and I've sort of. It's going to be like broken up into thirds. I've watched like the first 35 minutes, and then I've watched another 35 minutes last night. And tonight I may be able to get across the finish line and finish The Warriors. Very interesting film. It's this one of those lavish Arrow video packages. I mean, tons of special features. I'm looking forward to going through and just learning more about this film. But it's really a cool film. I've never seen this before, so this is a new watch for me. And I just dig the aesthetic and just what's going on, the vibe of this, of this film. It's just one of those nice discoveries, whether it be from a Criterion or Arrow or Kino. But yeah, I'm still watching this, so that's in progress. And I'm about to do a director spotlight on Miss Sofia Coppola. So getting up on her filmography. So I watched this film here that's been in my backlog, Lost in Translation.
Nice.
Which is, Bill Murray and ScarJo before she became Black Widow. So this is a really interesting and beautiful film. So really like that. Bong Joon-ho, Snowpiercer. Saw this recently again. I mean, I've seen it before, but this is of course Chris Hemsworth in a non-Captain America role. But yeah, this is a really good thing. Have you seen Snowpiercer?
I have. Bong Joon-ho is one of my favorites. I've been trying to get somebody to talk about him on one of these episodes for a long time. I adore Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah, he's just fantastic. He's got a number of films in the collection, with Parasite, and Okja and Memories of Murder. So yeah, I would love to have more of him in the collection. And of course, my favorite director, Alfred Hitchcock. I've seen in this set Rope, which is such a great film, and this is a fantastic 4K. It's a nice little upgrade over this old Blu-ray.
Just slightly better, yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to going through the rest of this because these are some of the films that I actually haven't seen from Hitchcock. Like I've seen the original The Man Who Knew Too Much, but this is his remake of his own film. So
yeah,
the original came out in 1934. It's on Criterion, but this is his 1956 remake that has James Stewart and Doris Day. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. And then Paul Newman and I think Torn Curtain, then Topaz and Frenzy. So I'm looking forward to checking out those films. But yeah, I really love these Hitchcock sets. Hitchcock is, to me, he's the best. He is the greatest of all time. So yeah,
I'm very curious to check out your review of Frenzy because there are so many people that love Hitchcock and then go, except for Frenzy. But I think it's pretty underrated.
Okay,
it's a good one. Recent watches for me, not a ton. It has been there's been a lot, but not a lot that I can say because we're working on them. The other one, I went to the theater for the first time in like 2 months, and I was able to check out the Mean Girls musical, which is not one that a lot of people have been talking about. So I just want to say it's much better than the reviews are letting it out to be. If you like the original, it's got a lot of the same beats, it's got a lot of the same jokes, updated a little bit. The music is not bad. Unfortunately, it's the same sort of problems that you get from the stage to screen adaptations where the music is a bit of a letdown. It's they can't belt like they do on stage in Broadway, so it's a little quiet and you can tell that they're toned down, but it's fun. It's well made. It's got a lot of the same people came back. Tina Fey's there, and Tim Meadows, who's one of the funniest dudes of all time. They both come back, and yeah, I thought it was pretty damn good for
Mean Girls. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. That's it for that. Like we said just a few minutes ago, we're going to talk about underrated horror. So stick around after the announcements for that. Curious, what you've been watching lately with Hitchcock and all these others. What do you set like certain themes for yourself? You got Sofia Coppola. What are some other themes that you are thinking about doing coming up?
Well, definitely continuing my my director spotlight series with Taste of Sofia Coppola films. Is going to be coming out before the end of the month. So I really, I've got a couple of other directors that are planned for that. And I get comments from the community, whether through polls I put out on my community tab on future directors to spotlight. So Sofia Coppola is coming up next. And I don't remember who I have slotted for February or March. I need to look at my calendar for that. But yeah, I love continuing our director spotlight series. Got some good feedback on that, but also plan to start talking about what's coming to the Criterion channel and what's leaving the Criterion channel. And then of course tomorrow we're getting announcements from our good friends Arrow Video, 10 a.m. I do a monthly sort of reaction to the Arrow announcements. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Arrow is going to put out in the month of April to get us excited. So fingers crossed they announce some good stuff on tomorrow morning. So we'll see.
Yeah, a couple of those titles leaked, and I'm betting that we're about to have a good exclusive for the UK thing be announced too. So eager to see what they announce.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready to get into our announcements for the week, sir?
All right.
Let's do it. First up, we got some details on Target from Kino Lorber. This is coming on March 19th. This is going to have a new audio commentary with Brian Reisman and Max Every. Gene Hackman and Matt Dillon, super young in this, all the way back to 85. I have a feeling that you probably like some Hackman films.
Yes, I can already tell you that I am in on this one. This is actually the first that I have even heard of this, but just seeing, I'm looking it up right now as we speak. It's from 1985. Yeah, Gene Hackman, Matt Dillon. Let's see. When American Donna Lloyd is kidnapped during a trip to Europe. Her son Chris and her husband Walter start searching for her. Okay, I'm in.
Even just the art on this makes me feel like
Yeah.
it's one that I'm gonna like a lot.
Yeah, I was looking to see. Oh, is that 4K? No, it's a Blu-ray. But that's cool. That's cool.
Only Blu-ray, but yeah, that makes sense. It's only an HD master it's from a 4K scan though, so they probably just couldn't think that it would sell.
Yeah.
Next up, Fun City Editions is putting out Deep in the Heart, which you may know this better as Handgun. This is from 1983, and synopsis on this one says, having moved to Dallas for a job, Kathleen soon makes friends and begins to enjoy her new life. Larry is immediately attracted to Kathleen, but she makes it clear she's not interested in a boyfriend. However, Larry is determined to get what he wants at gunpoint. The tables start to turn when Kathleen joins a local gun club and buys her own gun. Now she becomes the hunter on a vengeful mission. This one has been on my radar for quite some time because one of my dear friends, Erica Schultz, who's a part of Someone's Favorite Productions, is on the commentary for this, and this is one of her favorite movies of all time. So I am very, very eager to see this, especially because it has a booklet with a new essay by Alexandra Heller-Nicholas. Fun City Editions, even since they've left OCN, I've loved a lot of their stuff. Have you checked out anything from Fun City?
I have not. That is a label I have not checked out as of yet. But this does look interesting. It looks fascinating.
It's supposed to be a pretty damn good one. I'm eager to see this finally, especially with a decent restoration. That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, this is one that's a big deal for a few people. Coming on March 5th from Zeitgeist Films via Kino Lorber distribution is Archangel from 1990. This is a big one for fans of Guy Maddin, and this is a super, striking black and white photography type of film that is done in a really unique way. If you are into this, I would highly, highly suggest checking this out. And on top of that, it also has a new audio commentary by Guy Maddin on it. So they at least got a new commentary. That's pretty sweet.
Cool. Yeah, and that's something I can definitely appreciate is, when they add something new, like especially a commentary. I can always appreciate that,
Yeah, and Kino's gotten a lot better at that. They used to be pretty, we'll say laissez-faire about adding any new features whatsoever, and now they're trying to do at least a little bit.
Yeah, I do like Kino's standard. I mean, they're not into lavish packaging or anything. It's just a very standard presentation with the discs and the cases, and they're just all uniform, and so you kind of know what to expect. And the picture quality of their discs are usually very, very good.
And I mean, on top of that, they get cheap because they don't do all that stuff. So it's one of the easiest labels to blind buy from. I mean, if you can get
it's a good trade-off.
If you can get something that everybody's raving about for $8.95, and how do you complain about that?
Yeah, that's why I love Criterion is my favorite, label, but then I also have my Arrow stuff, and then I got my Kino stuff. So, between those three, I feel like I'm getting a nice, kind of mix of, a lot of good titles that Kino's putting out, a lot of output. A lot of titles that wouldn't necessarily, come to Criterion, but they're great titles I'd be interested in.
Yes.
And Criterion is doing their thing. And so it's sort of a nice mix between those three labels, but definitely want to expand and add a little more Vinegar Syndrome, Second Sight, and other labels as well.
I would love to see a James reaction to some of the wild Vinegar Syndrome movies out there. Randomly, Guy Maddin's one of his relatives is commenting. Home Video says Guy Maddin is actually a relative of mine. He's my dad's cousin. I haven't seen this film yet, though. Interesting.
Okay.
Glad you're here.
Yeah.
Ronnie got Maddin's Forbidden Room in a Kino sale, but still need to watch it. I need to get that one still. Next up is Stigmata. This is one that's been out of print from Scream Factory for quite some time. That Scream Factory release still goes for quite a bit of money. It was just released by Via Vision in Australia, and a lot of people were starting to check that out. But just a heads up, April 2nd, there is a media book and a standard release coming from Dark Sky Films in the US here. And there probably won't be any new scan or extra features, but if you're into one of their media book releases, this will be a good chance. And on top of that, it'll be back in print in the US, and that's what's most important, access to the film.
Yep. 100%.
Next.
Yeah, I've not seen this one. I've heard of Stigmata, but I've never seen it before.
It's good, and it's fairly tame. Was it Umbrella, Key-Ray? I really thought that was Via Vision. Huh. Interesting. I may have misspoke there. Next up, Dream Scenario, one that I think some people were wishing Nick Cage was going to get some love at the nominations this week, and unfortunately he fell a little short. February 27th, Lionsgate is releasing this on Blu-ray. Probably going to be some good features on here. I believe they just got announced yesterday, and I did not get a chance to add them in, but yeah, I've heard this movie's great. Did you get to check this one out?
I have not. And so I guess that's considered one of the snubs this Oscar season. Nicolas Cage, in addition to, I guess, Margot Robbie, I heard, did not get nominated for actress. Right. Have you? So
I don't know if it's a snub necessarily. I think people were kind of wishing for it to happen, but it unfortunately was not in the cards for him. Yeah. And I don't think it was expected. It was a really, really strong year for Best Actor nominations.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this Oscar. This Oscar ceremony. It's going to be. I usually watch it every year. It's always fascinating seeing the drama and who wins, and seeing the reactions of those who don't win. And it's kind of entertaining.
I love it. I'm going to be live streaming it this year, I believe.
Cool.
Kino on Blu-ray soon is releasing Fritz Lang's Secret Beyond the Door, one that I've not seen. This one is a fairly new master by Paramount from a 4K scan, so this should look pretty stunning. You got Joan Bennett, Michael Redgrave in this one. Fritz, any of his films that you're a big fan of?
Fritz Lang, I've seen a portion of his. He did M, is that correct?
Correct.
I have not seen all of that film. I've seen a portion of it, but Fritz Lang is one that I've not dove in much into his. I have not gotten much into his filmography yet, but he's definitely one that I need to check out at some point. More of his stuff.
Same here. And for those that aren't aware, one individual that I champion on here a lot is Sam Deegan, who is now a producer for Vinegar Syndrome. But she's done a lot of stuff throughout the years. And I believe the first book she wrote was on Fritz Lang's M. And it is really good. Sam is an incredible writer and highly recommend it.
Yep.
Next up, big different than Fritz Lang. March 12th on Blu-ray from Cinedigm is Bad Hombres from this last year, 2023. I know nothing about this movie. Nothing at all. Nope, didn't even hear about it. But yeah, sharing that it is coming out.
Yep. Interesting cover there.
Yeah, very.
It's letting you know something heavy is going down. Just looking at that, you're like, oh boy.
Especially with the gun on it. All right, next up, February 27th, RLJE and Shudder are releasing 3 of the VHS anthologies. We got number 94, 99, and 85 all together in a steelbook. And this is not going to be exclusive anywhere. You can already pre-order this from Walmart, Barnes & Noble. It should be available pretty much everywhere. I tend to like anthologies. Right? Everywhere except Best Buy. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I believe
it was nice.
I believe the last title they had for pre-order was coming out right before this one.
Yeah.
Anthology films. How do you feel about anthology films? And have you checked out any of the VHS ones?
I have not checked out these VHS films. I've heard of them, but this is I think this is a horror series I have not yet gotten into yet. So this would certainly be a new discovery for me, but I've certainly heard of it, but I just haven't seen any of the VHS films as of yet.
They're pretty decent. I mean, they're not terrible. One of them was bad. They've made 6 of them, and if 1 out of 6 is bad, that's pretty good.
It's not bad. Not bad at all.
Next, Kino Lorber announced that they are releasing Kevin Kline's In and Out from 1997 on 4K sometime soon. This is one of those times when we don't get a release date, but they did want to announce that it is coming. I remember this movie being a giant hit when this was released, huge back when it came out in '97. Kevin Kline, Tom Selleck, Joan Cusack, another Matt Dillon film, Debbie Reynolds, Wilford Brimley, and the one and only Bob Newhart.
Yes.
I don't know how this is going to play in 2024. Have you seen this one?
I have not seen this one. Yeah. These are a lot of titles I have not yet seen. So this is another one. Now I'm wondering, is Bob Newhart, is he still with us? I think he's still.
I don't believe so. I feel like it was just a few years ago, though.
Oh, yeah, he is. He is.
Oh, wow. Who am I thinking of then? I wonder.
Huh. I was just kind of, when you mentioned Bob Newhart, I had to look it up here real quickly. Under In and Out, but yeah, it looks like an interesting film. It's Frank Oz.
Yeah, Frank Oz directing, and I guarantee some people will see this as problematic in 2024. But I don't know, that word's lost. That word's lost a lot of meaning at this point. Just watch the film and make a decision for yourself.
Okay,
it's a good movie. At least it was when I saw it back then.
Oh yeah. I'm reading the. Okay, I just read the little summary here, and yeah, I see what you're talking about here. Okay,
quite obvious when you read the synopsis.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Next title is one of my most anticipated of the next couple months. March 12th, Warner Archive is releasing the Looney Tunes Collector's Choice Volume Number 3.
Now, I've seen a lot of these.
These are fantastic. And they went all in on this one. This one has 25 different cartoons on there, which is quite a bit. We've got a wide variety of directors, of course. You've got Chuck Jones, Tex Avery. You've got some of the smaller ones like Earl Duvall and Arthur Davis that used to work on these. A lot of different characters, and this is great. I just hope they keep going and somehow get all of them eventually.
Yeah, these are the OG of cartoon classics. I mean, the stuff that they're doing today, modern day stuff, is fine. It's actually terrific and great stuff. But this is just the all time classic stuff right here. Bugs Bunny and
exactly. And on the bright side, it'll probably be fairly inexpensive too. The Warner Archive Looney Tunes ones that they've been doing so far. I think the second one was down to like $6.99 a couple of weeks ago, which is shockingly cheap, especially considering the Warner Archives used to be on sale for $11, and we were all grateful. But to see it at $7, that's nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Here is a big one for a lot of people. April 9th, the 1976 King Kong is coming to a 4K Steelbook straight from Paramount, not from Shout Factory, even though they did the Blu-ray fairly recently. Paramount must think that this will be selling fairly well, and they didn't want to license it out, but here it is. It is coming, the Jeff Bridges film. Have you ever seen this remake?
I have not seen this remake. Now, this is from 1976, you said?
Yes, sir. It is it's interesting. I won't say it's a wonderful movie. It depends on if you've got a lot of nostalgia for it, you tend to love it. If you approach this with a lot of reverie for the first one, you tend to think it's pretty rough. But it's decent, and for coming out in 76, it's pretty dang good.
Yeah, it sounds like it's one of those that, if you just approach it and take it for what it is and not try to compare it to the previous,
exactly,
thing, appreciate it more. Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
Next title is another Kino. March 19th, they are releasing Rent-A-Cop. This is one that we've talked about previously on the show when they announced it, but this is, of course, Mr. Burt Reynolds and Liza Minnelli. This is from 1988, coming on Blu-ray with their slipcover, regular release, and all that. This one's going to have a new audio commentary by Lee Gambin and Richard Mazer together on this.
Nice.
Should be a fun release.
Yeah, cool. I mean, of course, with Mr. Reynolds recently, I guess in the last few years, moving on, this is a great opportunity to check out another one of his films.
Absolutely. And he's gotten a lot of love over the last couple of years, so it's nice to see those coming out.
Oh, yeah.
April 23rd, Wellgo USC, what was that? USA is releasing Monolith. This is a film from just last year starring Lily Sullivan And this one says, while trying to salvage her career, a disgraced journalist begins investigating a strange conspiracy theory. But as the trail leads uncomfortably close to home, she is left to grapple with the lies at the heart of her own story.
Oh, it's like a strange artifact in the alien conspiracy. Interesting.
Yeah. Wellgo tends to focus on a lot of Asian films. They focus on a lot of genre films. They focus on a lot of modern films that get released at festivals and then don't go anywhere else. So I'm glad this is getting a release. Hopefully people can find it. And I mean, some of these, they could literally be starring some of the biggest stars that we'll see in the next 5 or 8 years. So I hope people check these out.
Cool.
Sibner, I agree. Sibner's talking about King Kong. He says these are great releases, but I wish they wouldn't do the Steelbook only exclusive model. Paramount has not announced a standard 4K of King Kong, so hopefully someday. I agree.
Yeah.
Are you into Steelbooks at all?
I do like some of the Lionsgate ones that come out, like the one that for American Christian Bale.
Graffiti?
Not American Graffiti, but
American Psycho, The Mask.
American Psycho, really, really good one.
Yeah.
And just several of the ones that they've done. The Reservoir Dogs one that they did, I think they did that one.
They did.
Just some really great work. I'm not a huge steelbook person, but I do like, a nice steelbook, here and there. I usually go for the slip. So yeah, I definitely agree with the person that made that comment that, it's great to put a steelbook out there, but at least give consumers a choice to get the slip,
Gotta have options. We got a question. Michael's saying, have either of you seen Fall and would you recommend it? That got a Lionsgate steelbook from a couple years ago.
Yes, I have that steelbook I think I had that steelbook as well. I was actually, it's interesting. Before I came on here, I was literally looking at my copy of Fall and was reminded, oh, I still need to watch that. so I had that 4K. I've heard it's pretty good. I mean, I have a fear of heights, so I'm sure that it'll probably send me into a panic watching it, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I would say Fall is decent, but you know exactly what it is going into it, essentially. So don't expect too much. Unfortunately, I think there's a couple really questionable decisions that when you're watching it, you go, why would they ever do that? But then you realize they're facing a trauma. Sometimes, that forces your mind to play tricks on you, and you don't necessarily make the perfect decision. But it's one of those movies.
Yep.
Reminds me, when I watched it, it reminded me a little bit of Adam Green's Frozen. Did you ever check that one out?
Adam Green's Frozen?
Yeah, it is from I think 2010. It's about I think it's 3 people that get trapped on a ski lift.
I have not seen that Frozen. No.
Yes, not the Frozen that you're going to let it go. It is a film. In fact, we'll say this is my first of the. I think it's 2010. So we'll say this is my first of the underrated horror from 2010s. It is about 3 friends that are going up on a ski lift, and something happens, and it just so happened they were the last people to go up on the lift, and the people on the mountain didn't know that they were on the lift still, and they shut all the power down, and everybody left. And so they're very high up in the air, stuck. They know that they're going to be there at least the whole weekend. So if they just sit there, they're going to die. And all kinds of bad things start to happen. There starts to be wolves that circle below them because they can feel that there's prey potentially. It's a pretty harrowing movie. I love that movie.
Yeah, I love that premise. I would love to check that out. Frozen. Okay.
Highly recommend it. This week, I put up an interview with Ryan from the New World Pictures podcast. Go check it out. And also, please go subscribe to their podcast. They do incredibly great work. Yeah, that's it for that.
Awesome.
Umbrella announced some titles this week, and some of them are some pretty big deals. First, these are all coming on April 17th, and I think, if I remember right, they're all Blu-ray, no 4K titles this time. So this first one is Ransom from 1974 with Sean Connery. You might know this as The Terrorist. They are doing this with one of their big lavish editions that's going to come with the book, a bunch of new art, bunch of numbered hard box, and everything that you could possibly want for this release, basically. That is really low resolution picture at the end there.
Yeah.
So 48-page book. You're going to have a new feature-length audio commentary with Lee Pfeiffer, the editor of Cinema Retro magazine, along with Paul Scrabo and Tony Latino. Kim Newman talks about Sean Connery's work in the 70s, and then Sean Connery's 70s films get a brand new trailer reel. Seems like a fun release, and if you love Sean Connery, this is probably one that you might want to dish out for.
Who's putting this out?
Umbrella in Australia.
Umbrella. Okay.
Yeah, they do some pretty great work.
About Umbrella, another one of those labels. So,
yep. The one that really captured people's eyes are this one and the next one. They are doing Coffee from 1973, and they are giving it again the deluxe treatment with the box.
Is that a 4K?
Not a 4K, just a blue.
Okay. Yeah, I would absolutely love to pick that one up because I love Pam Grier. I love this particular film, so I would probably. I'm glad to hear about this. This is my first time hearing this, so this definitely looks like a really, really fascinating release.
Heads up for everybody, I believe it's the same scan as the Arrow release. So if you already have that, it's probably not going to look different. However, if you love the movie, this is the package to get for sure.
Was that a 4K scan or?
Unfortunately, this is one of those companies that they don't really advertise what they do on their restoration work,
Okay.
unless it's one that they did in house, which is usually only Aussie films. So we don't really hear about it, unfortunately. Kind of stinks. Yeah. Makes it difficult to make better decisions that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, given that I don't have it on physical media, that'd be great to pick that one up. I would love
absolutely. And on top of that, we got a bunch of special features that were ported over to here, and then they also put together a Pam Grier trailer compilation, just like that Sean Connery one we were just talking about. This also has another 48-page book. Just again, huge release of a film that it's a big deal. A lot of people should watch this. And next up is maybe the one that people were most excited about, Masters of the Universe from 1987. This is really interesting. They've got a lot of the special features ported over. Again, we don't know anything about the scan, but another big hard box release that's going to be numbered, book, everything like crazy. However, one thing I will say is twice this week, somebody in the Disc Connected Discord that you can get access to in the Patreon in the link below, we had people from labels say, hey, if you want this film and you're in the US, you might want to hold out. So I'm going to guess that this is coming very soon in the US from somebody else. And if I had to guess, I'd be willing to bet it's going to be an upgraded release on top of this.
Okay.
So I would imagine it's probably going to be a 4K, and it will probably be very good. Interesting.
Little tease there. Okay.
The other one that we got a tease of, we already got an answer from about China O'Brien, so we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Next up is another Umbrella release, and that is Time Addicts from 2023. And this one I know nothing about. However, sounds really good. It says a drug-fueled sci-fi romp hailed as a trailblazing time-warping debut from writer and director Sam Odlum. Drug-dependent best friends Denise and Johnny owe their unpredictable dealer. In a desperate attempt to clear their debt, they agree to a dodgy heist in an old house, inadvertently coming into possession of a bag of time-traveling drugs. The pair find themselves trapped in the house on diverging timelines. As Johnny travels through time, Denise grapples with isolation, confronting her personal history, the true identity of their dealer, Kane, and the very essence of her existence. Both hilarious and vulnerable, Time Addicts delivers an enjoyable twist on the sci-fi genre. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
We got an audio commentary with the director, and then a screening Q&A from Fantastic Fest. And yeah, looks like a pretty solid release from Umbrella again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finally, from Umbrella is another big deal title. Tank Girl from 1995 is coming in one of their big lavish sets, and the art on this looks pretty wild. This is a movie that a lot of people have been after. Another one that was out of print from Shout for quite some time. This one's going to have a new interview with the actor Doug Jones, video essay by Alexandra Heller Nicholas, audio commentary with the director and actress Lori Petty, The Revolution will be ahead of its time. An interview with the director Rachel Talalay, and everything else is archival and coming over from other releases, but still glad that they are putting it together. A lot of people love this. A small community of people really hate this movie, but yeah, this is a big one, of course, because it's been out of print for a long time.
Very interesting art there.
Yeah. Yes, it's a wild, like almost Mad Max Fury Road type of art. And the next one. March 26th, Decal and Bleecker Street Films are putting Out of Darkness from 2022. And this is another one that is supposed to be pretty good. This is another one that deals with time and when people are living. And yeah, sounded super interesting.
Yeah.
Anthony says, not a fan of Tank Girl, might still buy it for the Iggy Pop cameo. Nice. Okay, so this is an interesting one. You can now pre-order a film called Mothman from Not Quite Reality. This is a newer found footage focused label that I announced, gosh, it wasn't that long ago, probably about 4 or 6 weeks ago. And this is their first Blu-ray release. Now, it is coming on a burnt disc because they're still such a small label and they're doing most of their stuff in-house. However, it is available in a 2-disc collector's edition, including all of the same features on the disc that they're doing for the collector's edition. They're going to have a black and white version if you get the collector's edition. It's going to come with a slipcover. What else? Full color 8-page booklet inside, and a second disc which has 30 minutes of bonus features, including a sneak peek at the next feature that they did from the director, a short behind the scenes featurette, meet the cast promotional videos. And earlier I said I'd have another pickup to talk about. This is the first time I've ever done this. When I've had an announcement, I can actually show you the release.
Wow, look at that.
Brand new Mothman. For the first 100 releases, they are signing a number on the slipcover. Mine is a star because it came not as part of those 100. And it's a decent looking release. I mean, for a very small label, it's good art. You've got a decent booklet on the inside, multiple discs, and I love found footage, so I'm very curious to check this out. Cool. Just picked this up today, and it also came with a nice piece of artwork too.
Nice. The Who incident? Okay.
Yeah, the Who incident.
Huh. Interesting. Mothman. You were born.
And next up, here's a big one. March 19th. 4K release from Kino, The Manchurian Candidate. This is the 2004 with Denzel, Meryl Streep, Liev Schreiber. We got an audio commentary with the director, Jonathan Demme, and the co-screenwriter, Daniel Pine, and a whole bunch of archival featurettes are going to be on that Blu-ray disc. What do you think of this one, sir?
Yeah, I have that. I had that DVD with that cover. I got the Kino. This is exciting to me because I got the Kino of the original Manchurian Candidate on 4K, which is really, really nice. And I have the Criterion of that original film as well. But so the original film is phenomenal. I also really like this remake as well with Denzel, Meryl Streep, and Liev Schreiber. And I had no idea it was coming out on 4K as well. So I definitely will plan to pick this one up as well, because I think both versions are really, really good. I slightly prefer the original with Frank Sinatra and Angela Lansbury, but this one's a really good remake as well. So
it is, and it's really hard to argue when you have literally 2 of the best actors of all time headlining it.
Denzel Washington and Liev Schreiber, he does well in it. I mean, I thought it was well done, and I like the sort of I like the changes that they made in it. They didn't just completely copy the original. They sort of put their own little spin on it, but still maintain the integrity of the gist of what it's about, but just took a little bit of a different spin on it and kind of modernized it, given that, it's not the Korean War, but I think they played off the Gulf War or something like that. Yeah. So they kind of modernized it. So I thought it was well done, but I had no idea this was coming out on 4K. So this is very exciting.
Happy to share that with you tonight. Next one, very different from Manchurian Candidate. Synapse Films is releasing graphic sexual horror. This is a documentary that they put out years ago from 2009, and this is coming on Blu-ray on April 24th. One thing is, if you had the first release of this, they are going to have newly translated subtitles on this, and then there's going to be newly found deleted scenes and interviews that were not in the previous release. And something tells me you're not running to pre-order this, sir.
No, I think, this is an example of, there's something for everybody, and I have a feeling this one might not be for me.
I've actually heard it's a decent documentary, but I understand. Next up, Changing Lanes on 4K from Kino Lorber. This is coming on March 19th as well. Another 4K release. Again, some great actors: Ben Affleck, Samuel L. Jackson. This one's going to have a lot of ported over special features as well. We got an audio commentary on this one by the director, and I don't think I've seen this one. Is this one that you've seen?
I don't think I have either. I've heard of it when it came out, but I don't think I've seen this one. But this is just another example of just Kino is just killing it, putting out just some fantastic releases, and just the sheer volume of nice 4K releases. And this is just another example of it. So this is one I'll, pretty likely pick up.
What's crazy is I believe the number of Kino releases in 2023 was just under 250. Literally, they released about 250 titles. Wow. From what I remember, they're supposed to step up their 4K releases this year to like four a month, I think, 4 or 5 a month 4K releases. So I don't know if that means they're going to slow down on the Blu-rays or if it'll stay the same, but if they can even come close to 250, that is a wild total for any label. But for somebody like Kino, it's so much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love so much of what they put out last year. I mean, Serpico, just fantastic. The big taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Just some really, really nice titles.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. Chris says, my problem is with no new features on either of the 4K releases. Unless you really love the movie, you can get the regular Blu-rays for about $5. I have to wait for a sale to get these. And yeah, totally understandable.
100%.
Oh, interesting. Def Crocodile says we are shooting for 2 releases a month by the end of the year. Nice. That's a big deal. I would love to see that. Next up, Studio Canal in the UK. They are releasing A Kid for Two Farthings from 1955. This is a Celia Johnson film by Carol Reed. I've never seen this. I've heard great things. This is by Carol Reed, who did The Third Man, maybe a film that some of you have heard of. This says, in a lower-class London community of small shops, open-air vendors, and flea marketers, Joe, a small boy, lives with his mother, Joanna, who works in and rooms above the Kandinsky tailor shop. Joe is innocently and earnestly determined to help realize the wishes of his poor, hardworking neighbors. Hearing from Mr. Kandinsky the tale that a captured unicorn will grant any wish, Joe uses his accumulated pocket change to buy a kid with an emerging horn, believing it to be a unicorn. His subsequent efforts to make dreams come true exemplify the power of hope and will amidst hardship. This sounds fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a very
things. Okay.
This will make a great double feature with graphic sexual horror. Oh man.
Oh man.
Oh wow. Fun night. Okay. Arrow has announced a replacement program for this Inside the Mind of Coffin Joe set.
What happened there? The disc replacement.
The Awakening of the Beast is one of the movies on there, and the subtitles just plain stop at 33 minutes into it.
Oh man.
And the whole film is in Spanish, so you got to have some subtitles. So they are replacing that. What's funny is they kind of bungled the replacement program too. They asked people to message up their via your account on Arrow Video, send them a message, or message them on social media. However, if they're not following you on Twitter, you can't message them. They're not checking message requests on Facebook. And so if you don't have an account, you can't just message them. It's quite a messy situation. I don't understand what's happening. But even then, if you happen to have an account on Arrow Video and you message them and give them everything that they asked for, they are messaging people back and saying, can you give us all these items? And it's all of the things that you've already given them. So
Wow.
It's an odd situation.
Not making it easy. Oh, well.
Yeah. Very, very curious situation with them. On top of that, found out that the check discs that they had for these, where they did all the QC, they found the issue and fixed the subtitles and had people review those check discs. And then they sent out the original ones. And that's why we have a replacement program. This never should have been a mistake because they did catch it in QC.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Really, really odd situation throughout. If you ordered via Arrow already, you ordered it direct, it'll come to you automatically. You don't have to do anything. That's the best part of this situation here. But if you order from everywhere else, you gotta get them a message. So keep an eye out on this.
Well, good luck. Good luck, folks, in getting those replaced discs in those cases.
Yeah, and obviously, if you want to enjoy the rest of the film, you got to get it.
Yeah, have to. Or learn Spanish.
March 27th, we are finally getting our first films in the Imprint Asia line in Australia from Imprint Films. The first one is Lost in the Stars. This is a 2023 film that supposedly is incredible. I've read lots of reviews on this one that said this is a mind-blowing film, very well made. It's an adaptation of a 90s Russian film that was called Trapped for a Lonely Man. And you're also going to have a let's see, what was it? Trailer on this. I thought there was more on this one, but I must have misremembered that. You can pre-order this now from the Imprint site, and coming out March 27th.
Cool.
Have you checked anything out from Imprint yet?
I have not. That is another one of those, awesome, labels that I hear about. Imprint, Second Sight, Umbrella. I'm trying to think about, which would you recommend for someone looking to sort of, dip their toe in the pond of another label who's into, Criterion, Arrow, Kino. Do you have a recommendation of one to sort of check out? I've heard great things about Second Sight. Their box sets.
Right.
You have a particular recommendation?
I honestly, having watched you for quite some time, I feel like you would love most of the titles that Imprint puts out. However, they are expensive, and lately Kino has eventually been getting a lot of the same titles, so it might be a little difficult to jump into that. One I would say, Second Sight is my personal, I think they're still my favorite label at the moment. However, they're very expensive. So if there's a movie that you love that they're putting out, like they did Mean Streets on 4K, they just did Picnic at Hanging Rock on 4K before Criterion did, the Changeling 4K, which Severin did in the US. If you love any of those, maybe that would be a good opportunity just to test the waters on one that you're going to love.
Okay. Cool.
Sibner says, better grab those Second Sights early while you can. Many of them go fast if you want that limited box set. They really do.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is a great shout too. Brendan says Radiance. Have you gotten anything from Radiance yet?
I have not.
So I hesitate to say it like this, but I feel like they're giving Criterion a run for their money in terms of genre films on top of art house films, on top of all the best supplements in the game, basically.
Cool. Yeah, and that's awesome. I mean, I think that's the beauty. That's the beauty of competition and everybody pushing each other to be better, and great stuff, and do a good job of the transfers. Put some bring something to the table in terms of supplements and maybe up the packaging. I mean, it's nice nice to see other labels doing great things out there. So
for sure. That is spy number 1 for Imprint Asia. Number 2 is The Sea is Watching. This is the first time in the entire world this has been released on Blu-ray. This movie is from 2002, and this is based on the final screenplay written by Akira Kurosawa. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, many might want to check this one out. On this, we only have a behind-the-scenes featurette and a trailer, but this is one that people have been wanting for quite some time. So it's nice to see something like this get the HD treatment.
Yeah. Cool.
And then the third one, The Blind Swordsman Zatoichi. This is the 2003 film. This is one that you're going to recognize because I believe Lionsgate did this in the US, something like that. This is going to have a new audio commentary by Sean Redmond on this. We've got a making of, some crew interviews, and a theatrical trailer. Again, this is the third spine for Imprint Asia. You can get all of these pre-ordered now, all coming out March 27th in Australia. Then, 101 Films in UK today announced the Abel Ferrara movie Fear City from 1984. This is one that pleased many people when they saw this announcement today. Tom Berenger and Melanie Griffith, probably the biggest names from this, but of course, Billy D. Williams. I mean, hello there. You've got all kinds of extras on this. We got a commentary with Kevin Lyons. We've got a limited edition booklet with Seeing Red, a neo-noir guide by Rich Johnson, who has been on the channel before. So if you like, check out that interview. And Returning to Fear City by Brad Stevens. They've got an extended trailer, but the bigger thing, they've got the uncut version of the film, the 97-minute version. So check it out.
Nice. So is that in addition to the theatrical version, or?
Yes, it is. And this is one that Shout Factory had released years ago. Like, I think this is the third or fourth time I've said this tonight. And it went out of print. And now that thing is going for like $100 on eBay. So if you want it, this will be an upgraded version, and it'll be a lot cheaper. Sweet. Unfortunately, it'll be locked to Region B probably. But if you're region free, that won't matter.
Yeah, and that's something, you know, I might presume you have a region-free player. That's something I need to go ahead and make that investment and get that at some point for those Blu-rays.
Yeah, if you've already got a 4K player, it probably would be cheapest just to get a region-free Blu-ray player and be able to switch back and forth between the two. But it's not that bad. And if you got a 4K player and you get a region-free Blu-ray player, you can leave the Blu-ray player on Region B and then put all your Region A Blu-rays in the 4K player, and it's the best of both worlds. You just change the input.
Yeah,
it's a nice solution and fairly cheap if you go that way too.
Mm-hmm.
April 29th, we are getting some brand new Eureka titles. This one is China O'Brien 1 and 2, coming on 4K and Blu-ray in the UK only. This is two different sets. If you want 4K, it'll be a 2-disc set, only 4K. If you want Blu-ray, it'll be a 2-disc set, only Blu-ray of the two films. This is going to have a slipcase on it. It's going to have new feature-length audio commentary on both of the films. It's got new interviews with Cynthia Rothrock, and it will have a collector's booklet with new essays by James Oliver and Eddie Falvey. And this is the one I mentioned earlier. The moment this was announced, somebody in the Disconnected Discord said, hey, if you're in the US and you want this, you may want to hang out and not pre-order this. And then later today, we found out why. So we'll talk about that soon. But yeah, Cynthia Rothrock, good stuff. And then Eureka also announced their first US title. This is a big deal. So April 22nd in the UK, April 23rd in the US and Canada, Eureka is releasing Jet Li's Black Mask on Blu-ray. This is going to come with a limited edition bonus disc featuring 2 alternate versions of the movie. You've also got a limited edition collector's booklet with new writing on the film by James Oliver. It's going to have a slipcase on it, of course. But man, lots of special features. We've got a new commentary on the Hong Kong version by Frank Jang, new commentary on the US export version by Mike Leader and Arna Venema. All of those people have been on the channel. Go check those out if you've not before. New interview with Michael Lambert, who's a stuntman. A new interview with Andrew Heskins from Eastern Kicks. New interview with Leon Hunt, the author of Kung Fu Cult Masters. Yeah, lots of good stuff. You got the extended version on the second disc, and it's Eureka's first foray into the US and Canada. That's a big deal.
Nice. Very nice. Good to see them branch out and show some love across the pond over here. So
Absolutely. And then on top of that, one that's probably a little more up your speed, they also announced their second U.S. title, which is coming from the Masters of Cinema line on the same dates as the one that we just said. This is The Cat and the Canary. This is the 1927 film, one that people have been wanting for quite some time. And everything I've heard so far about this restoration is that it is incredibly stunning. You get a new commentary by Stephen Jones and Kim Newman on this, new commentary by Kevin Lyons and Jonathan Rigby on this. New video essay by David Cairns and Fiona Watson. There is a new interview with Pamela Hutchinson on this. Some extracts from John Willard's original play. There's just a lot coming on this. And then, of course, it's got a booklet with new writing on the film by Richard Combs, Craig Ian Mann, and Imogen Sarah Smith. Great looking release.
Love. She does such a great job on all of her, interviews and visual essays for Criterion releases. So, I know that's going to be a really nice supplement, but just hearing all the new stuff there, the new visual essay, 2 new commentaries, new interviews. Definitely a lot of love for this classic, film. So that's great. Just the kind of addition that a film like this, should get. So very nice.
One that people have wanted for years, and to get something that is a nice pre-code title, that's a big deal. Next one up is Kino Lorber. We got some details. Paint Your Wagon is coming on 4K on March 26th. This is, of course, the Clint Eastwood film. This was announced just a few months ago. We get a new audio commentary on this by Lee Marvin biographer Dwayne Epstein, and C. Courtney Joyner is also on that as well. No other features on this, but it is also coming out on Blu-ray. So if you want the 4K or just the Blu-ray, it is available for you starting on March 26th.
Yeah, I have not seen. This is a Western, I presume, from Clint Eastwood.
I believe so.
Is this directed by him or?
No, it is not. I believe this one is directed by, let's see, Patty Chayefsky. Sorry, directed by Joshua Logan.
Cool. But yeah, I definitely want to check this one out. Of course, I love Clint Eastwood. It has Jean Seberg in there from Breathless. Yeah. She passed away in a pretty young age, but yeah, so I'll have to definitely check this one out for sure.
Craig from Deaf Crocodile says it is a Western musical even.
Okay.
Interesting. Oh, and Chris is singing it now. Gonna paint your wagon, gonna paint it fine, gotta use oil-based paint because the wood is pine.
Cool.
Okay. Interesting.
Lee Marvin, yep. Nice.
Okay. And then this is the other one I was alluding to. If you were very excited about that Eureka announcement of China O'Brien, Vinegar Syndrome came out today and announced that they are releasing China O'Brien 1 and 2 on 4K as well. That is coming in May as part of their Halfway to Black Friday sales slate. And lots of information on this. They're saying it will be available for pre-order in March, and it will be included for subscribers, so you don't need to worry about pre-ordering. It is also not an ordinary package. Their deluxe 3-disc, which will be 1 4K and 2 Blu-rays edition, complete with newly commissioned artwork and housed in VS's unparalleled in quality hard case, will host hours of extras, including a bountiful array of new interviews with cast and crew, many of whom we guarantee have never before gone on camera before to discuss the film. Plus, they've put together a 40-page perfect bound book chock full of insightful analysis. Last, though most significantly, the presentation of the films are being sourced from Vinegar Syndrome's own extensively restored and graded 4K masters to guarantee the highest quality in picture quality.
Yeah, I'm looking at China O'Brien now on IMDb. I really dig the premise. This could be my second VS title. The only Vinegar Syndrome I have in my collection now is the Amityville Horror one. That is
nice,
really nice release. But this could be the second one. It's definitely speaking to me. So
they have begun to branch out into more, I don't want to just say mainstream, but more well-known titles like China O'Brien. More people have heard of, although it's certainly not a mainstream title. Most people have never heard of Cynthia Rothrock or China O'Brien. So. Yeah, this should be a pretty astounding release.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And that, I believe, is it. Let me make sure I didn't screw up anything. I think that's the last one. Yeah, that's it, my friends. Went through those fairly quickly this week. Lots of announcements. I will say that things are definitely ramping up near the beginning of December. Things slow down until about the second or third week of January. And all I can say is we're back. There's a lot of stuff getting announced this coming week. We've got Shout Factory announcements, Arrow announcements. Next Thursday is going to be Vinegar Syndrome, OCN, all the partner labels, including a new Deaf Crocodile title. Lots that is happening that is going to be really interesting. Very curious to share all of those with everybody. And as a reminder, coming out next week, we've got the Conan Chronicles 4K set from Arrow. You can also get each of those original titles by themselves separately on 4K or Blu-ray. The Trainspotting 4K release from Criterion is releasing next week. A lot of standard releases are coming through Amazon and all of the other regular retail holders of things like the Psychic 4K, the Black Room, all the VS and Severance stuff that have been coming out the last couple of months.
Yeah, and that Barnes & Noble 50% off Arrow sale, I think, is going until February the 5th. So I'm thinking I'm going to pick up, because I see the Conan Chronicles, which has both Barbarian and Destroyer.
Yes.
I'm leaning toward probably just getting Conan the Barbarian on 4K, but we shall see. But definitely plan on picking that up. But then also going to get not from Barnes & Noble, but from Amazon, Trainspotting. So I'll be getting that in the mail next week.
Trainspotting is great. Next would be Scarlet Street 4K from Kino is coming out next week. That's the 45 film, another Fritz Lang. Day at the Races from Warner Archive, the Marx Brothers release. Eli Roth's Thanksgiving is about to drop. Joe's Apartment from Warner Archive. Still can't believe that got a release. Kino's 4K release of The Boogans, that's about to drop. Silent Night 4K Steelbook, that is the John Woo film coming out as a Lionsgate Steelbook. Then all of the VS and OCN partner label titles are dropping. Cutting Class 4K from MVD Rewind. Prince and the Pauper from Warner Archive. Rover Dangerfield from Warner Archive. Cabin in the Sky, Warner Archive. Mudbound from Criterion. That's one I definitely got to pick up at the next sale. He Walked by Night from Kino. Monk, the complete third season. Again, just lots of stuff ramping up again. Faithless from Warner Archive. Loaded Guns from Arrow Video. And that is nearing the end. Murphy's War from Arrow Video. Goodbye and Amen from Radiance.
Who said physical media is dead? Who said that?
This is one day. And we're not even to the bottom. Sting of Death from Radiance also coming out next week. Some re-releases of things like The Gift. Lots of anime. And that's pretty much it. Is Trainspotting the biggest one on your radar for next week?
Yeah. I do pick up a number of Criterions just throughout the year. Of course, I participate in the sales, but because I do a lot of reviews on my channel of Criterion releases, I get them during the year as well. And definitely hopeful for a flash sale, perhaps in February or March, to pick up some more, like that Chantal Ackerman set that came out this week. Definitely looking forward to picking that one up, but probably during the flash sale.
Yeah. That's one that's definitely on my radar too. That I still don't have the Pasolini set from last year either. I
have that one. Very nice set. I'm still going through it, so I need to finish going through that one. But that's a pretty nice looking release from them from last year.
Chris is saying the people that say physical media is dead are the same jerks that tell me wrestling is fake, and I hope not, because one of those things is true. It's maybe that's something that should be mentioned real quick, is there seems to be a lot of doom and gloom on either side of the aisle for physical media recently. A lot of people saying it's on the way out because of Best Buy. A lot of people saying we never need to talk about it's dying because look at all of these releases, it's thriving. Truth is, we're in a weird little murky spot in the middle. A lot of these companies are struggling to survive. A lot of these companies are putting their saved pennies from their couch into these releases and barely getting by. And when you are only purchasing from one or two different companies, like a lot of the people from Vinegar Syndrome, unfortunately, that there's a lot of these other companies that will barely be able to press discs next month, or maybe they won't be able to put out that lavish release that they were hoping for next year. So keep an eye on everything. Make sure that you're choosing what you want, of course, but don't try to keep up with the Joneses. It's a big world out there of physical media, and it's certainly important to I don't know, support where you can, but don't put yourself in a bad situation, obviously.
Absolutely. That's some good advice.
Okay, we are on to our discussion, and this week we are discussing underrated 2010s horror. And when we first started talking, again, this was supposed to be for October, and spooky season was upon all of us, and we were eager to talk about it. But this was one that you jumped straight to. Was there a reason that this was so interesting for you?
I would say because it's one that is one that I'm not incredibly versed in, and so I'm always looking to just learn more about films I never heard of or haven't gotten a lot of exposure to, or just genres or filmmakers that I haven't gotten heavily into yet. So this,
right,
for me is just an area where I just want to get a little bit more into the horror space. Of course, I have my favorite horror films. I watch quite a bit of horror, but there are a lot of people who watch like a ton of horror films. So for me, this is definitely an area where, there's a lot of great horror titles that I have yet to explore. So I'm looking forward to, discovering some more of them.
It's just so we can get a taste of the James overall profile. What are some of the bigger, like some of your favorite horror just from all time?
Yeah, for me, I would definitely put like films like Carrie, from De Palma, one of my all-time favorite horror films. I mean, that film to me is almost perfect as a horror title. When you think about just the actors that are in it, like Piper Laurie, she was so brilliant in that film. Sissy Spacek, John Travolta, Nancy Allen, Amy Irving, I think. They're just wonderful, and the story is terrific. It's a nice adaptation of the Stephen King story. It's just beautiful. They did a remake of it with Chloe Grace Moretz and Julianne Moore. That was one of those things where not necessary, but it was okay. It wasn't bad, but the original was perfectly fine. Thank you very much. So I love that. I love The Shining with Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, one of the all-time great horror films. And I also love, as a follow-up to that, Dr. Sleep.
It's so good, right?
Film. What's that?
It's so good, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, Dr. Sleep, of course, you have the original film, The Shining, but Dr. Sleep, I thought, did a great job of just expanding on the whole universe of The Shining. Yeah. It's like, helps you better understand, what is Shining, and you got, exposed to these new characters, this group of like vampires, if you would, led by Rebecca, what's her name? Ferguson, who played Rose the Hat. Just great stuff. So I love that film. Let's see. But yeah, there's a lot of really, really good ones. Get Out, recently. Of course, the original Halloween, movie. So yeah, I might love a lot of those old classic, horror films like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Carrie, The Shining. But then some of these newer horror titles I have an appreciation for as well, like, right, Get Out, or a horror title that is probably not in the underrated category, but I love it. Quiet Place. Beautiful, fantastic. John Krasinski, Emily Blunt. And then, when the pandemic happened, this one was delayed, but it finally came out, and I enjoyed it. So Quiet Place Part 2. So I'm looking forward to the third installment, which is supposed to be, I guess, a prequel, if you would. It's like day one, I think. So that should be interesting. And A24. This is decent, pretty good. Pretty good. Talk to me.
If you were a fan of sound, talk to me as some of the best sound in a theater experience that I've had in years. Really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. So those are some of my, favorite horror films. There's some that isn't coming to my mind at the moment, but yeah, it's a fantastic genre that I know I've got. There's a wealth of titles out there that I can get, more into for sure.
Many of the ones that you just mentioned lean towards the supernatural side. Is that a subgenre of horror that you tend to lean towards too?
I haven't really thought of it that way. I mean, I would say probably so. Versus like just your standard like jump scare type of affair. Not really heavily into that. Like I do like the original Scream, film.
Yeah.
Like when you get into some of the like franchises, like Scream, it's one of those things where I enjoy the first one. I enjoy the second one, but after that, I've kind of had enough. I don't need, 6 and 7. It's like, okay, I've seen this formula. I'm good with it. I enjoyed the first couple, but I'm done with that, kind of thing. So, same with like Halloween. It's like, okay, I've seen the original one. I actually like the the one from 2018.
It's really well done.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that one. Halloween, is it Kills? I thought was
Yes.
okay. I still haven't seen Ends. I've heard that they do something crazy and off the wall.
Yeah.
That you sort of think it's going to be a face off between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, and it doesn't quite. And they do something kind of strange with the story that you don't expect, but I haven't seen it yet. So have you seen it?
I have. I saw it twice, and the first time it was a huge disappointment because I went into it expecting standard Halloween movie, which I like Halloween enough. It's probably my least favorite of the big franchises that everybody always raves about, but it was fine. And then the second time I watched it, I didn't have that expectation. I went, okay, I know they're trying to do something different. Let's see if I can discover something better in it. And having that, it changed the overall feeling of it so much. It wasn't god awful. It was at least enjoyable in many of the scenes. It still wasn't a great movie, but it was pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, so eventually I'll check that out. So yeah, just a lot of great stuff out there. Or even a film like recently the Criterion Collection put out on 4K a film that I saw when it first came out, called The Others with Nicole Kidman.
Yes.
So I can appreciate a really nice, a well done like ghost story, like that. And that one is very well done, very well done. It's one that if you haven't seen it, it's it's one of those things where when I was doing the review, I sort of I tend to dot around a little bit and sort of dance around what it's about. But it's basically, if you go into it knowing that it's a ghost story, it's a period piece set around World War II, and Nicole Kidman is a mother. She's got two children, a son and a daughter, and they live in a house and they're dealing with hauntings. And if you just go into it knowing that and nothing else, then you'll probably really have a satisfying experience watching the film. I mean, it's just a really well done horror film that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites, and the fact that it got a 4K release was super surprising, but I'm so glad that it did. That's one that I feel like it was mildly popular when it came out, but also horror wasn't doing that great when that movie came out. So I think more people were focused on, we had just seen the big 1999, the greatest movie year ever that everybody claims. So people were into like The Matrix and stuff like that instead of the horror movies, which this one was almost borderline like art house horror. So it should have felt different, but not enough people were giving attention to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a little beat on you, and now we're going to go through some of our underrated 2010s horror. I guess my list is kind of going to be 6 tonight because I already named one of them, Frozen. So I'll throw one of my honorable mentions into my list now, and I'll just give it away because Dave just brought it up. The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Have you seen this
That
one?
was one of my four. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this movie. This movie is with Emil Hirsch and Brian Cox. Brian
Yeah.
Cox, I mean, they're both great in this, but Brian Cox is always good. This was 2016, I think 2016 or 17, and when it came out, it just went under everybody's radar, and I think it's gotten a little bit of love. I think it played on Shudder for a little while, and now it's got physical media releases and stuff, so more people are checking it out. But it's just very vibey. The setting of it is really interesting. It's genuinely creepy. There's scenes in this that you are like looking in the background for something to happen, and since you're already on edge and looking for something, even small things that happen make you feel like it's amplified. And
Yeah.
so you can just tell the filmmakers are really good at ratcheting that tension up, and one that I really, really suggest checking it out.
Yeah, it has that nice supernatural, vibe to it, and just it's really, really, really fascinating. I think it had I think it had like realistic autopsy scenes, or that they shot it in a way that made it look as realistic as possible in terms of an actual autopsy, so to speak. So.
Yeah, I apologize for taking one of yours.
No, it's a good one. It's one of those good creepy horror films. The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Nice. Well, then I will just go again, since I took one of yours, and go to I mentioned found footage earlier. I am a big fan of found footage, and one that I feel like it got a little bit of a second push because it was pretty popular on Netflix for a little while, but now nobody talks about it. I really want people to check out As Above, So Below. This is a movie that was filmed around the French catacombs, and there's this area that explorers actually go down into the catacombs, and they filmed the entrance there and everything, and they've had to tell people don't go to this place, it's not super safe. But it's a movie that is it got washed out because that found footage genre from Paranormal Activity in 2007 or whatever, for the next decade, everything just was kind of awful. Everybody hated all of them. As soon as it was announced, it was just, these movies are going to be bad, nobody should go see them. And so because of that, some really good films just got plain ignored. And this one, oh man, this one is a really interesting I don't know. It's almost like The Descent, which is one that a lot of people have seen that I love, but it's got just that you're underground, so the lighting is already on your side for a horror movie. You are always going to be, did I just see something, or is that shadow play? It is a super uniquely shot film because everything is so dark that they have to give you something. And so because it's filmed handheld, it's rough, but it's just really well made, I think.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Strongly suggested. If you are not a fan of found footage, this seems to be one that a lot of people that don't like found footage tend to like.
Okay. Well, I may have to check that one out. Cool.
Suggest it. What do you got for us?
I will offer up this one here, which is one of my favorites, really, overall, and just a great one from the 2010s. I think it got a second sight 4K that I didn't pick up. I should have, but It Follows, from I think 2014. I think this might qualify as underrated, but it's from David Robert Mitchell, starring Michael Moore. It's like a coming of age film. It has a really nice, premise to it, in terms of, it's very creepy and very atmospheric in terms of the actual premise of this like supernatural element that follows you after committing, certain acts, so to speak. But it's wow, what a really cool movie. It's got some pretty creepy scenes to it in terms of the actual people that are sort of following, and just the way that it presents itself, and some pretty whacked imagery. But this is a really, really good film, and one of my favorite horror titles from the 2010s. It Follows.
How about that tall man scene coming into the apartment?
Yes, yes. I mean, it's one that I definitely need to revisit. I wish I had gotten. Was that Second Sight that did this on 4K?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself for not picking that up. That is one of the ones that I should have, made the investment to get. But it's just an amazing film, and it's sort of shot in a way where it doesn't really give you a clear bead on the actual time that is taking place. So it sort of has almost a timeless quality to it. So I really, it's not like set in a specific time period, it's kind of modern day, but it doesn't like let you know that it's the 70s, 80s, 90s, or it's very kind of vague about like, okay, when is this actually happening? So it's not giving you a specific time period, which
Right.
I think gives it a timeless quality. So I appreciate that.
How do you feel about the fact that they are making a sequel to that?
I did not know that. So is it returning any of these characters, or is it just totally
Micah Monroe is returning, I believe, and
Michael
it's the
Moreau
same.
is returning?
I
And I
believe it's the
like
same
her in
director too.
Watcher too, by the way. But that is interesting. I wonder, is it the same filmmaker? Is it David Robert Mitchell involved, or is it?
He is, yeah.
That I think if they do it right, if they do it right, I'm willing to give it a chance. How do you feel about it?
I'm excited because they are involving the same people, so I feel like
Yep.
they'll be invested in it. However, is it needed? Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things. Like I'm not against franchises per se. It just this one feels a little odd to franchise.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And it makes me think about, and again, it just comes down to if they do it right, then okay. It's sort of like Top Gun. When I first heard about, oh, they're gonna do a sequel to Top Gun, I thought, okay, skip. But Maverick was amazing, right? So if they do it right, then so be it. But if not, then you sort of wish they would have just left it alone. But we shall see.
So my next one is 2014. This is a film that is, let's see, what is the best way to describe this before I give away the title? It is a film that people have not seen, and I really wish they would. It's a film that starts off as what feels like it's going to be an indictment on the Harvey Weinsteins of Hollywood, and it still is, but it ends up being a complete body horror film. For those that have seen it, you're already screaming it probably. 2014's Starry Eyes. Now, not many people have seen this movie. This movie is fantastic. This is starring Alexandra Eso, I think is her last name. She is one of the Mike Flanagan pack now, who is in all of like the Midnight Mass. She's in the brand new one that he just did. She was in Dr. Sleep, we mentioned earlier. She is an incredible actress, and she is going to audition in Hollywood. And something happens, and her body starts to revolt against her. This movie is creepy as hell. It is supremely well acted for what ends up being a fairly low budget film, and very, very curious to see how many people in the chat have seen it. Starry Eyes is underrated in many different ways, but primarily I want to say this because it is such a unique storyline. Not enough people try to direct things that are, we'll say, against the Hollywood system from within the Hollywood system. And this movie is a really, really great, obvious indictment of just the major creep factor that they had for so many years.
Wow. Yeah, I have not seen it, but it definitely sounds interesting. I mean, with the body horror, it sounds almost David Cronenberg-y.
Yeah, a couple scenes maybe.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's great.
Check that one out.
All right, sir.
Let's see, what do I have here? I was, before coming on here, I was trying to find the physical copy. I don't know where my physical copy of this film is, but this is a film that's The Cabin in the Woods from 2012. and my physical copy is somewhere around here. And I've seen when I saw it, I know a lot of people love this movie, but it's one that I feel like I need to revisit, because when I watched it and I kind of saw what was going on, I thought, oh, that's interesting. But I can definitely understand the appeal that people have, for it. It sort of, dismantles your typical, horror tropes, and can certainly appreciate that, and has a really nice cast, with Kristen Connolly and Chris Hemsworth, Thor, and you have, these friends who basically become, pawns in this interesting, sinister game, so to speak. And it just sort of, it's one of those things that it subverts your expectations type of a film. And
many times over.
I can appreciate that in some situations, but in this case, I was left not really appreciating it as much. I kind of felt like, oh, okay, but maybe I need to revisit this film. But I'd be very interested to hear in the chat how many people love The Cabin in the Woods from 2012. This is one I'll revisit.
This is one that I saw opening weekend in a theater, and I was really lucky. I lived in California when this came out, and I was about 40 minutes from one of the only theaters that has D-Box seats. And I went and saw Cabin in the Woods in D-Box, which is, it's like this 4D experience where there's the seat will move ever so slightly with they've like timed it with the certain things in the film. There are like rumblers in the seat, so if something happens, it gives you this jolt a little bit. It's pretty fantastic, and there's a couple things that really stuck out from this. And even from the beginning, I knew I was going to love it, because one of the opening scenes is a crane shot going up over this apartment that the characters live in as they're trying to gather this party that's going to go to the cabin in the woods, and the crane lifts up to the window, and the way they programmed this chair, it felt like I was rising 20 feet above the ground. It was wild. Absolutely loved experiencing it in D-Box.
Cool,
it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Man, yeah, lots of people in the chat loving it too. Let's see. Next up for me is the oldest year that we can go to. I'm going to go all the way back to 2010 and say that I really appreciated a film that I saw for the first time on DVD, and I think that's still the DVD I have, and that is 2010's Stakeland. This, I think, is one of the best vampire movies that was ever made, and unfortunately, it made like no money. And based on that, I have a feeling most people have never seen this. Thankfully, it's gotten a little bit of a second life. It has played great on Shudder. I think it even got a sequel. But as far as vampire films go, we haven't gotten a lot of great vampire films over the last 20 years. So if you have not seen this one, highly, highly recommend checking it out. It is kind of a road film mixed with vampires, and there's actually scary vampires, which is not something in a lot of vampire movies that you normally get. It's normally done in like a sex appeal kind of way, or done in a more like a mysterious way. But Stakeland is done in a way that you are actually, holy hell, like these are terror villains. These are people that scare the hell out of you. I really, really recommend checking these out. I've not been able to see the second one yet, but I would like to check it for sure.
Cool.
All right.
Good vampire movie. Yeah, that's cool. Well, the next one I will go with, and you'll tell me if this qualifies as underrated, but it's one that is from Mr. Robert Eggers' Evil Takes Many Forms. It's The Witch. This might not be underrated per se. I think a lot of people love this, but yeah, this is a really, really fascinating atmospheric film with Anya Taylor-Joy. It's a period piece. She's part of a Puritan family in New England in the 1630s, so the 17th century, and they're dealing with some supernatural forces, and it's just one of those creepy, atmospheric kind of horror films, and it's very, very well done by Mr. Eggers. I think is is he the same director who did Last Night? No, not Last Night in Soho. No, that was a different director, but he did a Lighthouse, I think, as well.
Correct.
So, but yeah, just a very, very creepy, fascinating, period piece that I think is, very, very well done with a nice supernatural element. And, Anya Taylor-Joy, did a really nice job in her performance in the film.
This is one of the greatest horror films of all time, in my opinion.
One of those nice slow burns,
yes.
slow burn tension, and, just really, really good stuff.
Gave the world Anya Taylor-Joy that she has been delivering ever since this movie. So very glad that this
did. She was in Last Night in Soho, so she started that film as well, but different director. But that's another film I really like as well.
My next one, and then for my last one after this, I have a cheat. That's going to be two films. So my next one, I'm going to go with a film that got a physical release from Draft House Films a handful of years ago. This is the movie Cheap Thrills, and this is more of a this is one of those that you can't really say this is a horror movie. This is like not home invasion, but it's like a weird ramp up the tension thriller type of movie that goes into some horror adjacent scenes, and it is really well made. It stars David Koechner of all people, and it's basically a story of somebody that is willing to pay somebody to do silly bets in a bar, and they're doing a couple things, and as he offers a couple dollars, it's for silly benign things. But as he offers more money, things start to get crazier, and they leave the bar and they go back to a house. And it, as you can tell, what's going to happen, it starts ramping up into crazy off the wall things of just, hey, if you do this, I'll give you $100,000. And based on the tension building from those, it gets wild. Absolutely love this movie. It is insanely well acted. If you are able to watch this is one that has some of the more understated and really great performances from people that you'll go, oh, it's that guy, because you've seen him in 19 other things, but you don't recognize his name. I completely love Cheap Thrills.
Cheap Thrills, okay.
All right, sir.
That premise sounds like one that I would be, interested in, when, it just sort of continues to step up and gets crazier and crazier, and you're just wondering what's going to happen next, and, where is this going to go? And that's fascinating.
It's a fun one for sure.
But those are the ones that I had. So those are the main ones that I had to highlight as far as my underrated. So, if you can go to your next one.
I will throw my cheat out there as the last thing to mention then, and I was going to bring up, I think it's 2015's The Invitation, and then I think it's the year later, it might be 2016. There's another film called Coherence. Now, both of these movies are essentially surrounding a dinner party. I don't know how this turned into an interesting genre for like 3 years in the horror adjacent field, but The Invitation, Coherence, and even like Your Next is kind of in that same genre of just, we're going to throw a dinner party and some weird things are going to happen. So The Invitation is basically some friends discover that the world is ending while they're at this year-end party. They're here for a cult experience, basically, and it devolves from there. Coherence, something happens, and they believe that there is another set of their entire house, like a mirror image of all of the people in their house, across the road. And they have to go find out what's going on because they're losing power. There's no way to contact anybody. It's great. And then Your Next, of course, is basically a home invasion around a dinner party. But either way, these are really great mindfuck type of movies. And if you've never seen these, strongly recommend them. Coherence is the one that I think probably is a little bit lesser, but if you find the story behind the film, it's much more interesting. And so what it was, Coherence has the cast writing the film as they're acting in the film. Literally, they have one person
that's like meta sounding,
Yes, they have one person coordinating behind the camera that give one of the actors, here's where we need you to get as we film tonight. You get to decide how we get there. And so they're building the story together in real time.
Oh, wow.
Fascinating.
That's pretty unique.
Yes. And it was released by Oscilloscope. That's how I discovered it. I subscribed to Oscilloscope and got that from them years ago. It was a huge discovery for me. Loved that movie. The Invitation stars Logan Marshall Green, who was in Upgrade. A lot of people recognize that. And then your next is huge movie. It's the one that's most overrated of the three, probably. But yeah, The Invitation's a little slept on. Coherence is very slept on. Highly recommend all of those. They do incredible work on them.
Awesome.
All right.
The Invitation and what was the other one called again?
Coherence.
Okay.
It's weird because it's like a doppelganger film mixed in what feels like a time travel film. It's hard to explain. Coherence is great.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I had one honorable mention that I didn't mention, and I will throw out New Zealand's Housebound. This is about an individual that gets in trouble. She's told she's not allowed to leave the house. She's wearing an ankle bracelet. Something starts to go down, and she starts to suspect that the house was used for nefarious purposes years ago. And she's trying to investigate, but she can't leave the house. And she thinks the neighbor has something to do it, so she can only leave for like 30 seconds. So she's got to run over there and come back. And there's a lot of great stuff happening there. But it's a horror comedy from New Zealand, and it delivers on the laughs and the scares, which a lot of horror comedies do not do. Usually they lean towards one or the other.
Yeah,
Housebound is actually pretty good on keeping it fairly balanced.
Cool. Horror comedy. That's cool.
Any recommendations from the chat from 2010's underrated horror? People shouting out Hereditary is the one I can't erase from my mind. That's a big one, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, but Toni Collette, is that correct? I think.
Yeah, Toni Collette's amazing. Let me see.
That's a good movie.
Kubrick Lover said, I think I enjoyed Housebound. I think it was on Joe Bob's show on Shudder. Interesting. Robert Bellissimo, what's going on,
Robert.
my dude? Hello. Let's see. Krampus, that's a good one. Another one that was released by Scream Factory.
Cool.
2018's The Possession of Hannah Grace is underrated. That's a pretty good movie. Toby Hooper's Gin. That was like 2006, wasn't it? Was that 2010s? Not that I will say it's inherently wrong, Stan, but the Crazies remake, I love that one. The Loved Ones, very good film, definitely deserving of a 4K release, and honestly would fit in quite well with a lot of the second sight releases that they've been doing recently.
Yeah, I'm seeing The Gin is 2013, I think.
Oh, I'm way off then. A couple recommendations: Savage Land, I Trapped the Devil, The Visit, The Oregonian, and Late Phases. I will say I Trapped the Devil surprised the heck out of me. Very good for what it is, and I would not be surprised if that movie had less than a $20,000 budget. That movie did so much with so little. Mm-hmm. It was an achievement. The Borderlands was a good one. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Loved that movie. Have you seen that one?
I have not. I have not seen that one.
This one might be up your alley, and it was released by Kino, so you can probably get it fairly cheap. It is, I think it was made in America by an Iranian filmmaker, or something like that. It's a female filmmaker from the Middle East, I believe, and it's a very stylish vampire film. Very well done. One Cut of the Dead, masterpiece, absolutely. Have you checked out One Cut of the Dead yet?
I have not.
It's a Japanese, it's not really found footage. I don't know what you would call it, but it is a movie that shows a handful of Japanese characters that are making a movie together that they are filming like they are being attacked by zombies. And after about 25 minutes, you realize that what they were showing you for those 25 minutes was not exactly as it seems. And everything changes. And it's one of the most brilliant premises in movie history.
Okay. One Cut of the Dead. Okay.
Piranha 3D. That's a good one. I agree there. Hounds of Love is incredible. Wind Chill is highly underrated. Couple good ones from Silent Mandible: A Field in England and Dead Snow 2.
Yeah,
Thought
I'm definitely
Overload.
getting some nice recommendations, so that's good.
Yeah, I hope people are making a list by some of these. I thought Overlord was actually pretty underrated when it came out. Yes, it was. Raw is a good one. Have you seen Raw? I feel like you would appreciate Raw.
I have not. I'll have to check that one out.
That is a French film by a female filmmaker that is about cannibalism, but it's not quite as surface level of that. It's almost like an art house type film. It's very well done. Under the Shadow. This one, I would say, is maybe the most underrated that's been mentioned tonight. Under the Shadow is... I keep wanting to say Iranian. I don't think this one's from Iran, but it's from the Middle East as well. And it's a very like folk horror type film that is built upon some of the terrors of war, actually. And they take the way that they were affected by some of that, and they deliver genuinely some of the best jump scares I've ever seen in film, and it's deserved jump scares. It's not the gimmicky jump scares.
Contrived kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Completely recommend it.
Okay.
Chris wants to get Raw from Second Sight, but it's hard to get. Yeah, that one did pretty well, pretty quickly, sadly. Yeah. Under the Shadow is Iranian. How did I get that right twice with the same country? Kill List. Oh man, have you seen Kill List yet?
I have not. That's another one I need to add to my list.
Let's see. Well, look, there's the invitation right there. I usually have it right behind me, but Kill List is one that is... It starts as a crime film, and then it turns into this random cult folk horror film at the end, and it takes one of the weirdest out-of-nowhere twists that you would ever expect.
Okay.
Fish and Cats in the Sharam Mokri set that was released by Deaf Crocodile is one that I would definitely recommend. Highly underrated, and if people do not have it, very well priced, I may say, from the Vinegar Syndrome website for or is it 4? It's been a long time since I opened that thing. The box set from Deaf Crocodile is incredible. Incredible. Neon Demon, that's definitely one that's been underrated by now for sure. Let Me In was a great remake. I completely agree. Surprisingly good. Robert, we are going over underrated 2010s horror films. Baskin. Baskin is a wild one. This is a movie from like Slovenia or something, somewhere around that area, Eastern European film, and it is a bunch of dudes that go into the worst possible position, and they deliver some of the weirdest out of nowhere horror shots that I've ever seen in what is a really great set piece, like an underground, not quite cavern, but it's like an underground castle looking area. It's just stupendous filmmaking. The remake for Suspiria, I feel like you would like that one quite a bit too.
Yeah, that's one I think that came out. I think that has an Arrow release, Dario Argento. But I need to definitely pick that one up eventually.
Suspiria has a Synapse release.
Okay.
Possum, that's a good one for sure. Man, there is a lot coming in. The Watcher, past the 2010s, but worth it. Field in England, along with Kill List. Yes, Ben Wheatley is great at what he does. Flesh of the Void. The Void, that's another good one too. Blackcoat's Daughter, that is a strong film. I like that much more than I expected to. Under the Skin, if you are watching Zone of Interest this year, Under the Skin is one you should definitely check out.
Yeah, that's one. That's the one with Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one that it's one of those ones I saw, and it's one I probably will. It'll be a while before I revisit that one. That one kind of creeped me out.
Incredible director behind that for sure.
Yeah.
Under the Skin, but is Under the Skin overrated? I do not think so at all. I think hardly anybody has seen Under the Skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely underrated. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It is probably about time to call it then, my friend. I'm just so glad that we were finally able to do this. get you on here. This is one that, again, I've watched you for a long time. I was eager to have you on here, and I think your voice is one that needs to be raised amongst a lot of people, because you've got, you know, diverse taste. You've got the interesting way of analyzing these things, and your reviews are always just so in depth, in not a lot of time either. You put a lot of thought into these things, and you're not one of those that'll do like a 40-minute review on the film to basically say nothing. You pack a lot of punch in a little bit of time.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, Ryan. And you know, I mean, you do awesome stuff, you know, over here, and just seeing all the great stuff that's coming out in physical media and your coverage of it, and just your knowledge of, you know, all these labels and what they're doing is just incredible. So I'm like a sponge, you know, soaking that up, just hearing, you know, some of the other, you know, live streams that you've done. I'm like, yeah, I need to check out that label. I should check out that label, you know, at some point, and, you know, because they're doing great stuff. So yeah, I definitely appreciate it, and really appreciate the opportunity to come out here tonight and to, you know, finally, you know, get our schedules coordinated and be able to connect. So really appreciate the invite, and thank you for having me.
Everybody go subscribe to James. Link is in the description below. If you're interested in a community that loves talking about things like this all the time, Patreon link in the description below. If you go in at the $7 level or above, you get into the Discord. Even while we were streaming tonight, there was a bunch of posts in the Discord. We have one of the most active movie communities online that I've ever seen. Love everybody in there. Thank you all for what you do. Again, thank you, James. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks again.